Hey guys, it's Crossroads here. Today we're going to look at the five stocks that I'm buying between now and the end of the year that I have positions on all of these five. One of them is a brand new position, and I can't wait to tell you what it is. And between now and the end of the year, I plan to add a lot more as I took some profits from some other runners, had a little extra cash as well. But the reason why I'm making this video is because it seems like in this time, a lot of stocks have run. A lot of, hopefully it's the same in your portfolio, but a lot of them are up 50, 60, 70, 100, some even 200% year to date. And in a market like this, it's easy to you get lost into the excitement and just start buying things that don't even make financial sense. They don't even make money. They may not even have a real product just to chase some gains. And you can certainly do that. But what I'm doing is buying companies that I think are very high quality, that are priced fairly, maybe not the cheapest ever, and that I want to hold over the long term, not necessarily just to try to chase some immediate gains. So, first one of these, and it should come as no surprise because I've been talking about this stock for a while now, is PayPal. PayPal is up now 41% over the year. That's year to date. A lot of people wrote off this company last year. They said it was basically dead, that competition was killing it, that its margins were crushing, that it had no future, there was no innovation. All of those things have largely been proven wrong. Alex Chris, as the new CEO, has come in and has revitalized the business. He has demanded innovation at scale and at speed, and they're continuing to help these seven first look products that were announced back in January to scale throughout their ecosystem and also through their many 400 million customers and 35 million merchants. Some of these are still very much in the early innings, but one of them that is not getting enough attention, and I'll probably do a separate video and post on X as well sometime this next week, is advertising. Advertising was one of these things that PayPal had not really done, and yet they have mounds and mounds of data, both from the merchants and also from the consumers. And so, really, as far as qualitatively and quantitatively, there's no one that has the same level of data as PayPal. Now, there are three businesses that are massive that also did not have advertising platforms at all and now are a major part of their business. One of those is Walmart. Walmart ended up saying, hey, we're sitting on all this consumer data and all this products data. Why don't we launch an advertising platform? And it's growing at like 35% year over year. They've had that for a number of years now. It's the oldest of these three, but it's a large part of the business, large enough that it garners a lot of attention. And it's one of the reasons why Walmart stock has been selling higher and higher this year. Amazon is the next one, and Amazon did not have any advertising platform at all. And they said, hey, we are sitting on data regarding products, regarding consumers, and we're also working with merchants. We have mounds of data. Why don't we use that for an advertising platform? And they built that out from scratch. And of course, that's a large part of their business as well. The last one of these is Uber. Uber is actually the most recent of these three. And you might not think of Uber as far as advertising, but it's one of the reasons why the company has excelled as of late. And what's interesting about the last two is, well, Uber is actually supposed to have a $1 billion revenue run rate, and margins on this product, as far as advertising, are typically very, very high. That's one of the criticisms with PayPal is they have all this data, they've done nothing with it, and their margins are fairly low. And so they launched this product that doesn't take much to be built out. And what's interesting is the last two, Amazon and Uber. There's a fellow, Dr. Mark Gaither, who was involved in Amazon building out the ad platform and was over Uber's platform entirely, helped both of these scale from absolutely nothing to huge giants. Guess who PayPal hired 5 or 6 months ago to run their advertising business? That's right, the same guy, Dr. Mark Gaither. And so I expect that this is going to scale massively throughout this next year. They, of course, did initially say that this wouldn't even be built out until next year. But Dr. Mark Gaither is not messing around. Instead, the advertising platform actually launched last month, and I expect them to continue to scale that out through the holiday season into next year. It may even contribute into some of the guidance for the next year. When the market realizes this, I think PayPal is going to be in a very, very good place as far as a stock and a company. Of course, they also have Fastlane, which is going through their channel partners and distribution partners. They announced a flurry of these back in August. That's not baked in at all. In fact, it's just beginning to scale this holiday season, as well as Pay Everywhere and a Venmo campaign as well that they're seeking to monetize Venmo. They just have so many different growth vectors out there. Quarter 4 may be a little bit of challenging just because some of these things, not the advertising, but the Pay Everywhere program, does take a little bit of money as far as advertising and to build out some new products. And so you might see the revenue or the margins just be a little bit lower that quarter. But for next year, I think that they're going to be in a great place and they'll guide as such. And so I am definitely buying more PayPal and I'm glad to hold it as long as Alex Chris is in charge there. Hims. Hims is another one. So Hims is a newer holding for me, and it is up 162% year to date. And you might say, well, Roy, why are you buying a stock that's up 162%? Why not just wait for it to come back down? And fair enough. When I first started adding Hims, it was in the maybe $14 or $15 range. Hims is very volatile. So this is not a stock for everybody. It can go up or down 10% on any given day. It's a small float stock. What Hims does is they sell mostly generic products, but not all generic products, to individual users. Discreetly, you just do everything through the website without need for a prescription, although you are always reviewed by a physician. And they also have some of their own products, and they're able to compound several of these drugs as well. So if their data finds that you would actually benefit from maybe a lower dose that's taken more frequently, they can certainly do that for you, or they can offer you it in a medium as far as like an oral solution or taking it as a gummy or a mint or a pill of some sort. They can actually combine several different medications as well, as long as they test and see that that is working, then it's approved by the FDA. And then they can offer that to you. So instead of taking 3 separate medications, you can maybe just take one. And that's easier to remember, easier to manage. And believe me, consumers absolutely loved it. They hit this quarter, which was one of their goals, to a 50% of their subscriptions were on that personalized platform, which is unique to Hims. There are some that are trying to do that. They're not as successful. Hims is a leader there. And they're also able to compound their own products as well. So really good management. The stock has been down over the last few weeks just because Amazon has entered the marketplace. I have a separate video on that that'll link below. But I think that the concern as far as competition is overblown and overdone. GLP-1s is something also that Hims is able to offer at this time, even though they don't have a patent, just because it's on the FDA shortage list. They reviewed that yesterday, and the FDA said, hey, we need another month to look at the data to make sure if this drug is still in a shortage or not. Eventually, that'll be taken off the shortage list, and what that means for Hims is they cannot offer that product. However, they're still growing at an over 40% rate as for their revenue, even excluding GLP-1 product entirely. So, but there is some concern there. I think long-term, Hims is at a very good place. The market will realize that when it's sold off rapidly as a result of Amazon entering this space, that there are some fundamental differences between what Amazon is doing and what Hims is doing, and they don't even come close. One other major catalyst that many are not thinking of is, of course, January 1st is when many Americans here set New Year's resolutions. And one of the biggest, always the biggest, in fact, is weight loss. Now, last year at this time, Hims had some weight loss products, but not nearly where they are right now. Now they have an oral solution that has really good results that you could just take orally instead of an injection like the GLP-1s. They very likely are still able to offer GLP-1s well into next year. And they also launched this week a nutrition line as far as your weight loss. And so they're developing a comprehensive weight loss platform. And I think that this is going to actually scale and acquire many, many customers, especially the way they market and brand as we enter that first quarter. And so I don't know how they'll guide for that on quarter 4, but by quarter 1, you're going to be seeing a lot of that revenue ramp up. And I think the market will be very excited about that. Stock number 3, Robinhood. Yes, I'm wearing the shirt. You can see it right there. And you can look at Robinhood and say, okay, it's up almost 200%. Maybe Hims makes sense at 162%, but Hood, seriously, does it have more to run? This time last year, I would have said the same thing. I entered Robinhood as a trade. I bought only options. I rarely do that. I usually just buy stock. I thought this was a heavy cyclical stock, that it was good but not great company. And I was wrong. I was right on it being cyclical, but I was wrong on the quality of leadership. I was wrong on the differentiation from the market. I was wrong on the leadership as well. And as a result, I've taken gains on my options. I think I still have a couple of options left, but largely I've converted those over into stock. Very happy to own that. Robinhood is one of those big winners as well from the election. And we've seen a rapid increase in their stock price as a result. Just a part of that, this probably deserves a separate video at some point as well, is related to crypto. Robinhood had not announced any new tokens on their US platform in maybe 3 or 4 years. In fact, they had to do the opposite several years ago, removing Solana, removing ADA or Cardano from their platform, XRP, and also Matic or Poly. They actually were able to reintroduce those right after the election, actually, just because they're like, hey, SEC head Gary Gensler is changing. I have a separate video on that. I'll try to link that as well for you guys to look at. But they're a huge beneficiary, both on the equity side, what they are able to offer, and also on the crypto side, which people love using, but they just were loath to actually add any new products. And so they're certainly not the only beneficiary. But this is one of those times, too, where they're launching new products. They ended up acquiring a Trade PMR, which is a wealth management platform. And they handle acquisitions incredibly well. Look at past acquisitions, look at what they built those out into and how they were able to integrate those well into the ecosystem. And of course, most notably is X1 credit card platform, which is the Robinhood Gold credit card. So I'm very excited where Hood is. It's not cheap anymore, but I plan to hold this stock for a long term. And I think it's a very good buy, especially going into this year where many people might overlook Hood just because it's run up so much. Don't do that. It's worth the time to look in the company and see if it's right in your portfolio. Number 4, Nubank. Nubank is my only international holding right now. I do have some global companies that are based in the United States, but Nubank is one of 2 companies internationally that I'm interested in, and it's the only one I own right now. Why Nubank? Well, Nubank has scaled rapidly, is basically the Bank of Brazil. They are scaling now into Mexico and now into Colombia. The Mexican expansion has gone very, very well. There is some cost to that, but you can look at where their margins are at. You can look as far as at their profitability. They're doing incredibly well. Their revenue is ramping rapidly as well. And if you are able to, as a business, capture the Mexico, like Nubank is doing, there's no reason why the entire rest of Latin America eventually is not your market as well. And so I think that they're going to continue to expand and not just be known for being the banking institution in Brazil, but of all of Latin America as well. And they're able to, since they're able to jump the cultural gap and the language gap, I don't see many issues there. They also benefit as far as demographics, that there's been a lot of nearshoring that's been happening over the last few years. I think some of that will accelerate while Donald Trump is president. And certainly Nubank, as they fall in a region that is very underbanked, as people become wealthier, as they need more banking products, they have huge, huge tailwinds that I plan to enjoy. And so I'm buying some stock. I'm buying some leaps on that one, but I'm not too concerned that they're up 71%. I almost said just 71%. It's been a great year, but I am adding that one between now and the end of the year as well. Now, the last of these is Enphase. Enphase is my newest holding. It's one that I actually bought last week around $61. I believe it's up 66 or 67, but it's still down 49% year to date. Now, be careful with the stock. If you're looking at it simply because it's down to where it was last year, that doesn't mean it's a buy. It could mean that it is a opportunity cost. It could mean that it's a value trap, that it looks very good on the surface, but there's something maybe fundamentally broken with the stock. So what's wrong with Enphase? Well, I'm going to have a separate interview with a fellow actually tomorrow or on Sunday that will cover Enphase in detail. But basically, this is a very cyclical industry, and as such, it's a cyclical stock. Solar is one of those that is out of favor at the moment. And as a result, you can see that in their sales prices. You can see that in their margins. You can see that in their EPS as well. And the revenue growth year over year. And of course, being down 49%, some of that is justified. Now, what's not justified is when Donald Trump was elected as president, Enphase and many green energy products were immediately sold off. This is a misunderstanding of the market that, yes, there will be more drilling, but there's already been an incredible amount under President Biden. It was just done a little bit more quietly. Trump is not anti-green energy per se. It's more that he is pro-energy. There is some fear that Enphase will lose some manufacturing credits. They do manufacture here in the United States, and they do that partly because they were given some manufacturing credits. Trump actually seems to be in favor of that. He likes when businesses actually bring their business here in the United States, even if there is a tax advantage like a tax credit that is necessary to bring them over. He is for that. He has been in the past. I would be actually shocked to see those go away. And so Enphase will continue to benefit, I think, actually from the tariffs in some ways because they're able to manufacture here in the United States. And I do think that tariffs will be a net negative overall, and maybe that's being priced in simply because many of the panels and panel providers that are a little bit cheaper, that are excellent, come from China. If they suddenly start costing 30, 40, 50% more because of tariffs, there will be a drag on solar installation. And there's already a bit of a drag too. But I expect as energy demand continues to increase, Enphase will benefit from that. Unlike many other solar players, they have been through the ups and downs of the solar cycle for a long time. This is a company that understands the cyclicality of their business. They position accordingly. And so they're able to scale back some of their manufacturing in the short term. Their balance sheet is actually very clean, unlike many other solar companies that have a lot of debt and don't have really a lot of cash, that are actually in severe trouble and may disappear if the cycle lengthens as far as the bear cycle. Enphase will be around. They have a quality product that's recognized by installers, and I think that they're differentiated in the market. Of course, I have exposure to solar as well through Tesla. So these are the five companies that I am buying between now and the end of the year. Many of these I've already begun buying rapidly over the last couple of weeks. And I'm curious about you. Are there stocks that you see that are misunderstood by the market, that are perhaps undervalued, that you're planning to buy and hold for a while? I'm not interested in trade targets, but if there's something you're excited about or passionate about or would like to learn more, put a comment down there for me. I'll take a look at that too. Some stocks, I'll just be honest with you, I've heard of them, but I don't know anything about them. I'll always shoot you guys straight. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope that your portfolio is enjoying these massive gains. And for now, happy investing.